Okay, so now we're ready to glue the clogging taps onto these block tap shoes. So I have shoe goo, or you can also use shoe goop or household goop, automotive goop, any of those goops or goos. They're very similar in as a product, similar products. What's nice about these particular types of goo or goops is that you can remove the taps later if you need to, as opposed to using something like a cement type glue or product like that where it's very permanent. So these are the Steven Stomper taps I'm going to be using. This time I'm using buck taps, so you'll see they have a little bit of a toe plate on them, a little ridge. So that's what I'm going to be using today. And this is a medium size for this size of shoe. So in the bag it comes with both the toes and the heel taps. And also there's a little package of stickers. And the stickers are used to cover up these little rivet holes. So that will prevent the glue from seeping into those holes and gluing the two plates of the taps together, which you don't want to happen. You need to have that jingle tap sound there. So I'm just going to place these over like that. Make sure that each one is covered. And if you don't have these little ones, you can use a piece of masking tape or some other type of tape or sticker paper to cover them up. One last one. Good. So we are ready. And I like to have a couple of toothpicks handy. I've got my craft mat, so in case I have any spillage. Like to also maybe have a piece of paper towel handy for wiping off any excess or if you get it on your hands. Okay. So this tube was already previously opened, so I don't have to poke the end to open it. Now on the taps you will notice that there is a ridge around the outside of the taps. So you will need enough shoe goo so that it will be thick enough around that ridge so that it will stick to your shoe. So I just like to run a little bead along a little bit in the center. Now this might be a little bit too much goop that I have on here. So the great thing about the buck style taps for the toe piece is that they're very easy to put on because you just have to line up the toe, and then it's easy to just press down and keep it level so that it glues on. So usually I will hold the tap in place to make sure it doesn't slide off crooked or anything. So I will usually hold it in place for a little while until the glue is sticky enough to stay in place. So quite often I'll hold it in place, maybe for even a half an hour while I'm watching TV or something, just hang out. You press down, and then you can sometimes see a little bit of the goop coming just around the edges, which is good. It gives a good seal then. If the goop comes out the sides, you could let it dry and then just peel it off. It's almost like a caulking, and you could just peel it off or cut it, trim it down, scrape it off later once it's completely dried. So you'll notice the tap is still flexible, so that's great. Okay, I'm going to let that continue to dry now. So you could also prop it up in your shoe box. Make sure, like I say, that it is level. So you'd want to make sure you have something under your shoe to keep the toe up and level. I have a little basket on my counter here. Works great to prop it in there to keep it nice and level. So as you can see, I have this little basket. So I would let that one dry while I work on the other shoe, and then I can come back and work on that heel. What's great about the glue-on taps is that if they do happen to come off while you're dancing, you can still just keep dancing. You don't necessarily have to have that tap on, so it's not going to impede your dancing. If you're in the middle of a performance or whatever, you don't have one screw holding it on and it's spinning on your foot or anything like that, or a nail. The whole tap can just be easily flipped off, or it may just come off completely, and then you can just kick it to the side and carry on. And then it just can be re-glued at any time. So this is the second tap I've got on, and I'm just applying some pressure to it again. Easy to do. It's just flush up against the buck part of the tap on the front. I'm just applying some pressure so that it adheres all around. But the tap is still loose, the jingle tap. So that will dry, and then we'll work on the heels. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of the shoe goop now around the heel tap. This shoe goop is getting a little bit old. And this shoe goop can be purchased at most department stores, Walmart, Canadian Tire, Home Depot, any of those type of stores. So like I mentioned, you can use the actual shoe goo or shoe goop, or a household goop of some kind. Alright, let's be ready to place on here. And I'm just going to line it up with my heel. I kind of like to line it up mostly with the back edge. Just in a little bit in from the actual edge of the heel. And again, just apply some pressure and making sure that it's level until such time as the glue can dry. so that the tap will not slide off crooked. Sometimes people have set them aside to dry, and then the shoe has tipped a bit and the tap just ends up going on crooked. And again, you'll notice that the bell tap is loose, second piece on the steel tap, so that's great. Okay. Just gonna keep these, hold this for a little bit longer to make sure it doesn't slide around, end up in the wrong place on the heel. I'm just kind of feeling around the edge to see, make sure it's kind of centered and not hanging over. So that's it. The taps are glued on, and I would let them set like this for an additional 24 hours before you flip the shoe over. And I don't recommend dancing in them for about 48 hours. Center it, and just a little bit in from the actual edge of the heel. Apply a little bit of pressure. The shoe goop is just pressing out a little bit on the side, so that's good. You can just wipe that off later. So I will prop these up once they're dried a little bit more and let them set for about 24 hours. And that's it. That is switching the taps. So now you have your new clogging shoes. Happy clogging!